Um, Hello everyone. If you can hear me, can you let me know, please? Thank you. And today we are doing Gods of Chaos from Warhammer. So I'm now off screen, so you can read this. I've read this bit before, so should I read this bit again? Oh, there's noise. Someone's up. Okay, so the gods of chaos, also the dark gods, or the ruinous powers, are powerful beings of the psychic universe, known as the warp, created and sustained by the emotions and souls of every living being of the material universe. Although they are godlike beings, they are by their nature monomaniacal and completely single-minded, formed completely of a single emotion or concept, as well as being completely dependent on the emotions of mortal creatures for their power and continued existence. What is the warp? Okay. Okay. The warp is a psychic dimension parallel to real space. It is known by many names: war space, the the immaterium, the Epium, the Esther, the Sea of Souls, the Other Sea. Also as the realm of chaos. Hello, Alison. How are you? Tell Troy I said hi as well. That's okay, Alison. I'll still be here reading. Okay, overview. War space is a mirror dimension of pure energy, existing as the mirror to our own reality. The materium, it is the domain of the gods of chaos. These gods dwell in their own realms, perpetually battling for one another in a struggle known as the Great Game. The size of these realms expands and contracts as the power of the warp ebbs and flows. Okay. The warp's existence is fueled by the emotions and souls of all sentient beings in the materium. Warp space is without form, and the laws of time and space do not apply there. Both size and time are simultaneously infinite and irrelevant within the warp. Its energizers are in constant turmoil, subject to endless disturbances. A common analogy used to describe war space compares the warp to a vast sea of energy, which is subject to constant movement, currents, undertows, etc. Immaterial space and the real space bear a relationship as their dimensions parallel with each other. The fact that they share this relationship allows a warp-capable craft to enter the warp, carried for a time along the warp, flows until re-emerging into real space. a distance away. A long time along the warp road, we emerged into space, a distant way from the starting point. A common metaphor. That's okay, Alison. We'll still be here to watch whenever. Hi, JV. How are you? Where was I again? The common analogy to use to describe the war space compared to war. Yes. I'm going to read this bit again because I got distracted. The common analogy used to describe warp space compares the warp to a vast sea of energy which is subject to constant movement, currents, undertows, etc. Given material space and real space bear relationship as the dimensions parallel with each other. The fact that they share this relationship allows a warp-capable craft to enter the warp, carries for a time along the warp flows until re-emerging into real space, a distance away from its starting point. The common metaphor used, warp jumping, compares the warp to a fast-flowing stream. Its motionless banks represent real space. A leaf dropped into the water upstream will be carried along by the currents. This is a useful metaphor in understanding the warp space. Although the warp is far more complex in its movements than a linear stream, the warp moves in endless, unpredictable, and convoluted patterns. Hi Adam, how are you? Didn't think of that, Adam. Okay, I'll do that one in a bit. Where's my notepad? Um, okay, I've missed no. Oh, there's the notepad. Now, okay. Oh, Adam, I hope you feel better soon. Okay, guess it. I'll be doing that one soon, Adam. And thank you for that idea. The warp is the final destination of the deceased souls of most races of the galaxy. These souls will swirl endlessly within the chaotic eddies of the warp, and many are consumed by preying demons. The craft-world elder uses spirit stones to protect their departed souls from becoming the playthings of the Slash, while the Harlequin elder relies on the protection of the Laughing God. The Imperials believe that the Emperor will protect a virtuous soul once it has entered the warp. Hi Paul, how are you? I'm going to have to check that out. Cool, what are we going to do with you? Okay. The warp is born from the thoughts, dreams, and emotions of every physically attuned sentient race in the galaxy. Every emotion and action in the materium feeds the warp, and is reflected back, creating its own reality. Should the races of the galaxy somehow cut them off from the warp, its malevolent entities would ultimately weaken and starve. Okay. The fortress of Kron, the brass cathedral, the garden of Nurga. Sorry about that. Oh, what? Yeah, what? That, why would you be at a beach where there's a hurricane? Okay. Okay. Main article, warp jump. The warp is an important factor in the survival of the human race. Spacecraft capable of voyaging thousands of light years in a matter of days travel across the warp. By such fragile means, humanity is bound together in a single imperium. The Emperor's will may be mighty, but his reach is long only because war space may be crossed by his fleets. A spaceship may enter the warp through the use of warp drives. This is the means by which spacecraft effectively travel faster than the speed of light. This is achieved because warp space is a domain of pure energy, where spacecraft can navigate between streams, as in an ocean. The Imperium uses navigators, a sub-race of humans, for this purpose. Time also proceeds a great deal slower or faster in the warp than in the material universe, resulting in forms of time stasis, acceleration, reversal, and other chaotic violations of physics. While this solution is effective, it is far from perfect. Long-distance journeys take months or even years, and timing itself is unpredictable due to the very nature of the warp. Warp disturbances. The warp is an extremely volatile medium. At times, disturbances can turn areas of the warp into raging storms, or incomparably destructive fury. These storms can last for days, months, or even centuries. Yay, that's a long time. Even more devastating are warp rifts, which are tears in reality that link the warp to the materium. These rifts are highly dangerous and allow the realm of chaos to spill into our own. Notable warp rifts include the Eye of Terror, Maelstorms, and Great Rift. Okay, warp entities. The warp, though utterly hostile to creatures of the material realm, is home to its own form of life. These are often ferocious entities which are drawn to the psychic emanations of mortals or real space. These creatures include the vampire, the Sakian, astral spectre, astral hound, enslaver, and most terrifying and numerous of all, the demons of chaos. Ships traveling in the warp are shielded against attack from these creatures. Without these shields, travelers through the warp would be consumed by demons. The warp is also the realm of the four gods of chaos: Kyun, Slashes, Tashish, and Nurgle. Through the warp and the chaos gods are formed of the same energy and are practically synonymous. Each god has a form that embodies their personalities and dwells at the heart of their realm. Go away, go away, go away. What the heck? What is a what is a hurricane? We know what they are. Oh no, this is Bing. I don't get on that well with Bing. Okay. What? Let's see what Google says is. What is a hurricane? National of 16th of June. Okay. National Oceanic Service. An official website of the United States government. Should I play this video? Might as well. The maximum sustained wind of a tropical storm reached 74 miles per hour. It's called a hurricane. Thank you. Hurricane season begins on June 1st and ends on November 30th. But these powerful storms can occur before and after the official season. Hurricanes can be awful and destructive. Yes. Okay. A tropical cyclone is a rotating low-pressure weather system that has organized thunderstorms but has no fronts, a boundary separating two air masses of different densities. Tropical cyclones with maximum sustained surface winds of less than 39 miles per hour are called tropical depressions. Those with maximum sustained winds of 39 miles per hour or higher are called tropical storms. Shit. Screen is getting a bit dark. Okay. When a storm's maximum sustained winds reach 74 miles per hour, it's called a hurricane. The Stafford-Simpson Hurricane Wind Scale is a 1 to 5 rating category based on a hurricane's maximum sustained wind. The higher the category, the greater the hurricane's potential for property damage. Hurricanes originate in the Atlantic Basin, which includes the Atlantic Ocean, Caribbean Sea, and Gulf of Mexico, the eastern North Pacific Ocean, and less frequency, the central North Pacific Ocean. A 6-year rotating list of names, updates and maintained by the World Meteorological Organization is used to identify these storms. And why do a lot of storms didn't have female names? Okay, hurricane season begins on June 1st and ends on November 30th. Although hurricanes can and have occurred outside of this time frame, the NOAA's National Hurricane Center predicts and tracks these massive storm systems, which occur on average 12 times a year in the Atlantic Basin. As a world leader in hurricane research, the NOAA strives to understand the mechanics of these complex storms in order to protect people, property, commerce, and national resources. When the maximum sustained winds of a tropical storm reach 74 miles per hour, it's called a hurricane. The hurricane season begins on June 1st and ends on November 30th. But these powerful storms can occur before and after the official season. A hurricane can be awesome and destructive force by nature. Be prepared. Is it? No. Hi Thomas, how are you? Okay, but reject. Okay. What is that? What are hurricanes? Hurricanes is another name for a tropical cyclone that forms specifically in the Atlantic or Eastern Pacific Oceans. They refer to a revolving storm formed over tropical or subtropical oceans. Tropical cyclones start as clusters of clouds over tropical oceans, which all agglomerate and rotate to form a tropical depression. When its sustained wind speeds around tropical depression reach 39 miles per hour, it becomes a tropical storm and is assigned a name. Different naming conventions are used globally, but all result from the same process. When wind speeds reach 74 miles per hour, tropical cyclone is referred to as a hurricane, typhoon, or simply a cyclone, depending on where it is on the globe. By this stage, they can be 300 to 500 miles across and up to 6 miles high. Yeah. Adam. Oh, that's my light. Gone. By the way, sorry if I'm not paying much attention to the chat. It's because I've got it on my phone so I can read this all properly. Okay. If the tropical cyclone travels polewards towards the mid-latitudes, it can make a transition into an extratropical, post-tropical storm. What the fuck are those? Hurricanes cannot form at the latitudes of the UK as they require much higher sea surface temperatures to develop than exist close to the UK. However, the UK is sometimes affected by the extratropical storms as they move to higher latitude, such as ex-Hurricane Ophelia in 2017. Occasionally intense mid-latitude depressions can produce near hurricane strength winds. The most widely publicized such depression occurred on the 16th of October 1987, known as the Great Storm. Hmm. Learn about the development of tropical cyclones. Measuring, yeah, how are hurricanes named? Tropical cyclones are given names to make it easier to communicate between meteorologists and the public. Names were first used widely in World War II and were subsequently adopted by all regions. In most regions, predetermined alphabet 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 alphabet. I can't pronounce that word at the moment. Alphabetic lists of alternating male and female names are used. However, in the western North Pacific and North Indian Oceans, the majority of names used are not personal names. While there are a few male and female names, most are named for flowers, animals, birds, trees, food, or descriptive adjectives. The names are also not allocated in alphabetical order, but are arranged by the name of the Asian country which contributed the name. Some meteorological organizations cycle through a set of number of lists starting at A each year. Some continuously cycle through names without reverting to A each year. Some start a new list each year. In the areas with cyclized lists, a name will be retired if the cyclone bearing it was partially notorious and caused a loss of life. Okay. Hurricanes, cyclones, typhoons. Hmm. It is usual practice for a storm to be named when it reaches tropical storm strength, winds of 34 knots. However, the JTWC Hawaii, the NHC Miami, and the CPHC Hawaii also give every tropical depression an identifier in the form of 2 digits and a letter. The digits start at 01 each season and are incremented for each new depression in the region. It is important to remember that although Western Europe, including the Met Office and Met Iran, Met Iran have adopted a similar naming convention for storms that reach us from the Atlantic Ocean. They have been done to help communicate forecasts and warning to the public, not because these storms are the same strength as a tropical cyclone. Okay, tropical cyclone forecasting. Okay, which one are these three? I guess I'm gonna go back through the chat, see what have I missed. Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed that, Tom, with jousting that carrot. I still can't believe that. Very things with the colours change. I do dangers of tropical cyclones. There are many hazards associated with tropical cyclones. All of these contribute to the damage they cause every year. Tropical cyclones are classified by the strength of the winds associated with them. But there are other phenomena which can be just as damaging as the wind that frequently accompany tropical cyclones. Night, Thomas. Have a good night's sleep. Okay. Ice seas, large waves of up to 15 meters high, are caused by the strong wind and are a hazard to shipping. Understandable? Storm surge, a surge of water of up to several meters, can cause extensive flooding and damage to coastal regions. Yep. Heavy rain. The tropical cyclone can pick up 2 billion tons of moisture per day. Wow. And release it as rain. This also leads to extensive flooding and often well inland from where the tropical cyclone hit the coast. Tornadoes. Tropical cyclones sometimes spawn many tornadoes as they hit land, which can cause small areas of extreme wind damage. These phenomena can cause major destruction, especially when the tropical cyclone's path takes it over land. However, a path over land also causes the destruction of the tropical cyclone itself as it moves over land. Its energy source is depleted, and the friction across the land surface dissolves the airflow. This leads to the eye filling with cloud and tropical cyclone dies. Okay. Okay. Which one should I do out of these? Measuring tropical cyclones, brown ocean effect, or tropical cyclone forecasting? But I am not sure which one. Hope you feel better soon, Mrs. Tom. And what is brown ocean effect actually? Brown ocean effect. When a tropical storm or cyclone makes landfall, it usually begins to lose its energy. but sometimes conditions on the land can resemble the moist environment of the ocean, maintaining and even increasing the power of the storm. Oh shit, not like that. You may have heard of the brown ocean effect in relation to Tropical Storm Bill, which developed on June 16, 2015 across the southern US. This effect boosted Bill and enabled it to dump phenomenal amounts of rain onto Texas and Oklahoma, perhaps more than would be predicted from this kind of tropical storm or cyclone over land. Significant impacts were produced, for example, flooding and landslides, as the rain followed a record wet May across 2 US states. Alison? I believe I'll go back to that one after this. What is the brown ocean effect? It is rare, but the brown ocean effect refers to when a tropical storm or cyclone maintains or even intensifies in strength as it moves inland. Contrary to the usual behavior of such systems, which tend to fragment and peter out once they make landfall. As most tropical storms or cyclones get their energy from the warm sea water and weaken once they cross the coast and lose their usual source of heat and moisture, and hence energy from the sea. So for most tropical storm cyclones, the largest amount of rain are usually recorded before or on landfall. What does it do? Okay. So why do a few tropical storms or cyclones remain energized or intensify once they make landfall? Recent scientific research has found that 3 conditions appear to be necessary. 1. The ground must be very warm and have a similar temperature to the sea from where the tropical storm or cyclone has come from. Night, Alison. Chat soon. 2. The ground must be very wet or saturated, though this land mimics the sea, and hence the name brown ocean effect. The high amount of moisture in the soil then allows a rate of evaporation, which then acts as a source of heat energy for the storm or cyclone, technically known as latent heat, similar to the process over the sea. The amount of this latent heat must be at a certain level, at least 70 watts per square meter. Over the sea, it would normally be around 200 watts per square meter. These conditions were met in Texas and Oklahoma in June 2015. In early summer, the ground had warmed up enough and it was saturated following a record wet May. The latent heat had also reached or exceeded the required level. The brown ocean effect was first investigated following the 2007 US tropical storm Erin, when it made landfall across the Texas coast. and then intensified as it moved inland over Texas and Oklahoma, bringing huge amounts of rainfall. Ciao, what are you doing? In order to categorize tropical cyclones around the world, the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale is used to define an event by their wind speed and impacts. Although developed in the USA, tropical cyclones around the world are measured by the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale, which originated from 1971 with Herbert Saffir, a civil engineer, and Bob Simpson of the US National Hurricane Center. The Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale consists of a 5-point scale of hurricane intensity and starts at 74 miles per hour. Tropical cyclones with wind speeds up to 38 miles per hour are classified as tropical depressions. Those with wind speeds from 39 to 73 miles per hour are classified as tropical storms. Pardon me. It is important to note that whilst the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale defines wind strength and likely impact, severe impacts from tropical cyclones can also occur due to storm surge and heavy rain, which are not necessarily directly related to the strength of the wind in the tropical storm, in the tropical cyclone. The Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale, Category 1. Okay. Wind miles per hour, 74 to 95. Damage minimal. No significant structural damage. Can uproot trees and cause some flooding in coastal areas. Category 2. Wind 96 to 110 miles per hour. Moderate. No major destruction to buildings. Can uproot trees and signs. Coastal flooding can occur. Secondary effects can include the shortage of water and electricity. Category 3. Wind 111 to 129 miles per hour. Extensive structural damage to small buildings and serious coastal flooding to those on low-lying land. Evacuation may be needed. Watch out! Oh, I'll let you out. Oh, no. Category 4. Winds miles 130 to 156 miles per hour. Extreme. All signs and trees blown down. With extensive damage to roofs, flat land inland may become flooded. Evacuation probable. Category 5. Windspeeds greater than 156. Catastrophic. Buildings destroyed, with small buildings being overturned, all trees and signs blown down. Evacuation of up to 10 miles inland. Okay. Okay, go back to some more Warhammer now. Okay, done the war. What do I want to do now on this? What the heck's the material? Real space. Real space is a term used to refer to the material universe as opposed to warp space, which is the term used to describe the parallel dimensions of the warp. There are several areas of crossover in the galaxy where these two dimensions converge, including the Eye of Terror and the Maelstrom. The Eye of Terror. Oh yes, I'm going back to the Warhammer. The Eye of Terror, Oculus Terribilis, Anathema Nobilis Ultra, Order Malinus, Oculus is a massive warp rift where the warp coexists with real space, the largest and most well-known in the galaxy. It is located at the edges of the galaxy in the north and west of Terra, the Cygnium Orcus. I'm sorry for mispronouncing an awful lot of these words. No, the Eye of Terror is an area. The Eye of Terror is an area of the galaxy where the warp and real space overlap. A ship can enter the warp without a warp drive, simply by crossing its borders. The area used by the domain of the old Elder Empire. When Slashy was born, the energy of her birth permanently breached the veil between real space and the warp. So now all of the planets and stars that existed in that area are now within the warp. Those realms have become demon realms. And at the very center of the eye lies the Bastos, a hole in the fabric of reality through which raw chaos energy pours out. Ooh. Notables. Origin. The Eye of Terror is not a natural phenomenon. It was created by the Old Ones during the origin. The Eye of Terror is not a natural phenomenon. It was created by the Old Ones during the war in heaven. As they fought the Necrons would then seal the Eye of Terror Eye of Terror closed, but it was later reopened by the psychic shockwave that accompanied the birth of god, the fourth chaos god Slasher during the fall of Elder. The shock of the birth was so great it could not wholly be contained within the warp, but spilled out into reality through the mind of the Elder. Consequently, the Eye covers most of the region of the former Elder Empire. Other zones of overlap were created, but the Eye is the most significant. Sometime at the dawn of the Imperium, but before the Horus Heresy, the Eye of Terror was discovered by the Imperial explorers in what was presumably a fairly remote region of the galaxy. The Imperial scholars named in Cygnus X1. The Eye didn't come into prominence until it was later discovered by the word bearers, who had arrived officially for the conquest, but actually on a personal mission for renewed faith. And it was here that they discovered the primordial truth. It would later be visited by the Emperor's children and the Iron Warriors, intent on an expedition within the Eye for the search of the Angel Extremis. Before embarking upon this journey, Perturbo had formerly named the Eye of Terror. All star charts all came to map the Eye of Terror with the legend, Abandon all hope ye who enter here. The Eye as a refugee. The Eye offers a sanctuary to diverse forms of traitors and heretics, forced to flee from imperial justice. For the traitors' legions, the Eye of Terror has been their exile sanctuary and safe haven for 10,000 years, from which they strike out at opportune, seemingly random moments. The Eye is also sanctuary for the most heretical renegades, fugitives of the imperial justice, and traitors throughout the galaxy, and all are welcomed as fellow enemies of the Emperor and the Imperium. Mortals within the Eye are constantly exposed to the effects of chaos, physically warped so their bodies come to reflect their flawed natures. The Death Guard, for example, worship Nurgle, chaos god of decay, so that their bodies become bloated and putrid. The Fall of Cadia. Main article, Canadian Gate. The imperial world of Cadia, I'll go Cadia, laid nearest to the best-known stable gateway into the Eye. Consequently, it is the most fortified and militarized world in the Imperium. The first line of defense against chaos incursions into real space. It would seem that the ships exit through this gateway far more often than they enter it. Adam the Despoiler led an attack through the Eye of Terror during a massive campaign, the 13th Black Crusade, which sealed the fate of Cadia, and many other systems. Trouble within the Eye. Before the destruction of Cadia and the formation of Citrix Maledictium, the Prometia, the Prometia, the perimeter of the Eye was thoroughly racked by the warp storms that effectively formed a barrier that both trapped the Eye's inhabitants and kept out intruders. Some regions of the Eye are calm enough for ships to travel through in a reasonably safe and predictable way, and an interstellar civilization of sorts, all devoid of chaos, exists among these regions of the Eye. The only safe and reliable opening in this barrier was the Canadian Gate, and that region was heavily defended and patrolled by the Imperium military. The Imperial ships avoid the area around the Eye for thousands of light years. Ships traveling too close to the Eye can be thrown off course. They can also be caught in a temporal whirlpool, which carry them backwards or forwards in time, which trap them in limbo forever. Hmm. Notable systems and worlds within the Eye of Terror. Oh, where was that again? Boy, the heck is the Death Guard? The Death Guard, formerly known as the Dusk Raiders, and known among themselves as the Unbroken, were the something legion of the original 20 Space Marine legions. The Primarch is Mortorian, who relocated their base to his homeworld of Barbarous after his discovery by the Emperor. During the Horsey Heresy, Mortorian and the majority of the Legion swore allegiance to Horus, becoming one of the 9 traitor legions who betrayed the Emperor. After Barbarous was destroyed during the heresy, they relocated to the Plague Planet inside the Eye of Terror. Because of Barbarous' toxic environment, the Death Guard took great pride in their resistance to poisons, disease, and mortality in general. This fascination led to them to worship the Chaos God Nurgle, and in return he invests their armor with pestilence and disease, and it elevated Morian to Demon Prince. Okay, Dusk Raiders. The base gene seed stock of the Dusk Raiders, originally known as the Something Legion, came from Terra, or more specifically, the warlike and tough clans of Albia. In the Unification Wars, the Celtic Legion quickly developed the use of tactics and methods of warfare that their Ironside forebearers would have found familiar. Operating in the role of heavy infantry, they were experts at survival, endurance, and stubborn defense. Their grey power armor began to carry battle decorations as well as the modified imagery of Albia. As the Unification Wars came to an end and the Great Crusade began, the Emperor gave them the title of the Dusk Raiders, a nod to their use of the ancient Albion tactic of conducting major ground attacks at twilight when the shift of light confused an enemy's watch, and gathering shadows would advance across open ground. The Dusk Raiders' armor was originally unpainted, but with their right arm and both shoulders coloured crimson. This was done with the intent to show their enemies that they were the Emperor's red right hand, relentless and unstoppable. Many enemies simply threw down their weapons at nightfall, so they didn't have to fight the terrifying Dusk Raiders. For more than 8 decades, the Dusk Raiders fought across the galaxy in the Great Crusade, earning a fierce reputation by failing to reunite with their Primarch. Great Crusade formation. When Morian was found by the Emperor upon the troubled world of Babius, he was swiftly given control of his legion. Upon first seeing them, he told them, "You are my unbroken blades. You are the Death Guard." The legion's name was then changed in accordance with this decree, and the Morian's words engraved above the airlock door of the battle barge Reaper's Scythe, in honour of the moment. While the legion was known as the Death Guard formerly, the older members referred to themselves as the Unbroken, after Morian's words. In a tradition that still continues, the Morian based the new Death Guard on his armoured, toxin-resistant fighters of the same name that had fought beside him on Babarus in the Overlord Wars. The armour's colour was changed, whilst their main armour remained unpainted. The trim colour became dark green, and Morian's veterans of Barbarus formed the core of his new legion. Okay. Okay, so now combat, disposition, and record. Before the Horus Heresy, the Death Guard differed from other 17 known legions in that they had only 7 great companies. Although these held far more men than those of other legions, such as the Ultramarines or Space Wolves. There were 3 privileged titles held by captains of the Death Guard. The captain of the first company was known as the first captain. Captain of the second company was known as the commander, and the captain of the seventh company was known as battle captain. What? The Death Guard tended to be organized into units of foot-slogging infantry rather than the mechanized squads. Mortian ensured that its men were well equipped and highly trained. He also ensured that they could fight in almost any kind of atmosphere, and placed little emphasis on specialized units using jump packs or bikes. Hi Angie, how are you? Fight in almost any kind of atmosphere and place little emphasis on specialized units such as jump packs or bikes. The Death Guard did not have dedicated assault and tactical squads. Every Marine was equipped with a bolter, bolt pistol, and close combat weapon and told to fight with whatever weapon. Circumstances dedicated to Legion was also well known for its use of Terminator armor. Possibly as a result of this, the Death Guard were highly successful at high-risk boarding and close-quarter operations such as Space Hulk clearance. By the time of the Horus Heresy, the Death Guard is known to have had roughly 95,000 Space Marines. Okay, I'm just gonna we'll go back to this at a different time. I'll put that out after. I'm good, Angie. How are you? Oh, that's good. You're good. Want to get signed? I'll go to Google. Angie, do you want me to Google anything? Yeah. No. I'm just going to put chaos. Chaos. Cool. Wish I could, but I'm doing housework and laundry. Ah. Angie, you are a lovely sight. Unless it's Halloween and you're wanting to scare kids, then you are a lovely flight. Fright, a lovely fright, if that makes any sense. Gods of Chaos, mythology. Now, what's Chrome? I don't want Warhammer. Uh-huh. Okay. Mm. Very true. Chaos. Chaos, the origin of everything. Okay, this is Greek mythology. Okay. Chaos was, most Greek cosmologists tell us, the very first of all. The origin of everything, the empty, unfathomable space at the beginning of time. It was more than just a gaping void, as its name is usually translated from ancient Greek. Personified as a female, chaos was the primal feature of the universe, a shadowy realm of mass and energy from which much of what is powerful and mostly negative and dark in the world stem forth in later genealogies. What is chaos? Chaos is a dwelling place. Even so, Heresy images imagines chaos as something much more tangible than a bottomless chasm. At one point during the Tiamochi, Zeus cast his thunderbolt at the Titans, and in the words of the poet, chaos is seized by an astounding heat. Moreover, Hesiod seems even to suggest soon that soon after that chaos is some kind of a dwelling place beyond which the Titans live. If so, chaos would have to be gloomy middle ground located between Earth and Tartarus, which is where the Titans are banished. Some even say that this is the most sensible cosmological vision of all, since in addition to Eros, these are the first three deities ever created in the Hesiodic cosmology. If so, they represent the initial way in which space was split, complete when Gaia gave birth to Uranus, the sky, with Eros being the driving force of creation. However, many others claim that in the beginning, chaos was all there was, the dark majesty and mystery of creation incarnate, and that it was from chaos that the first three primordial gods sprang forth: the wide-bosomed Gaia, Earth; Tartarus, the underworld; and Eros, love, the fairest among the deathless gods. Gaia would go on to become the mother of everything. Beautiful in the world, chaos would not be as fortunate. Out, out of herself, she would give birth to two more children, Abius, darkness, and night. I know I'm pronouncing some of these Greek words, some of these words wrong. Now, through the sexual union could produce luminous offspring, Athia, the divine heir, and Hirma, the day. However, the progeny of Night, Chaos' daughter, reared by Zeus himself, would end up being a string of sinister, ill-starred children. Chaos in other cosmologies. At a later stage in history, speculation of all kinds would arise regarding Chaos's role in the original creation. First, some would start doubting its primaries, as an account of Perseid singing that even she was born out of darkness or myth would say some, out of the union between Chronos, time, and anarchic necessity would claim others. Okay, Orpheus and Chaos. Still a third group grouped around the ritual worship of the mythological poet Orpheus would derive an even more unique cosmogony. According to them, together with Aether and Cerberus, Chaos was one of the three sons of Cronus. She was a master artist who managed to shape an egg from the formless ether, and out of the egg, Panis, or Ponegeno, came out, a bisexual deity who proceeded to mate with himself to give birth to everything existing. Oh, what? Okay. Softly parodying the story in his comedy The Birds, Aphrodite's Astrothenes claimed that in the beginning only chaos, night, dark Iberus, and deep Tartarus existed. Afterward, night, impregnated by the wind, laid an egg in Cerberus, out of which golden-winged Eros was born, and then in Tartarus, Eros mated with Chaos, who subsequently gave birth to the race of birds. Hmm. Hmm. Well, everyone, I'm actually gonna log off now because I'm feeling somewhat sleepy and my voice sounds a bit weird to me. So it was lovely. It was lovely having you all watching, and I will speak to you all again soon. Bye.